Facebook groups are great for meeting new people, but actually creating substantial relationships and connections that convert requires this secondary validating step. Hey everyone, welcome back. It seemed everybody enjoyed the last video where I took a question from the Enlightened Entrepreneurs community and responded to it in depth to help people better utilize that Facebook group, but also overall better understand how to leverage engagement on social media in order to find customers for your business. So let's do it again. I have another question from a member of the Enlightened Entrepreneurs group, and she is actually one of our Enlightened providers. Her name is Heather, and she asks, I'm not going to read the whole question because there's a little bit more here, but the gist of it is I'm not quite sure how to frame my posts. It seems like the questions create interaction, but not really opportunities to share what I do and how people would know how to refer me, which is what the networking group is for. The pressure of developing community takes over, and I'm not really sharing what I do. So here's what I think Heather is struggling with. She's talking about the engagement questions that I recommend people utilize to build reach so that they actually can become visible in a group like ours. Heather's right, though. Asking questions doesn't necessarily lead to engagement that lets you talk about your work and share your expertise. The questions might build interaction, but how do you take a question and the engagement on a question and turn that into something substantial that can either be a lead or an actual engaged conversation where you are nurturing a prospect? In order to use a Facebook group, first you have to integrate yourself into the community and interact with people so that you can actually be visible to the group members. Otherwise, Facebook stops your reach, and posting in that group is kind of pointless because only a handful of people will see your post. And if it's a promotional post, it's not going to have any context. Nobody's going to know who you are, and therefore you're kind of dead in the water. Let's reel it back and let's review very quickly the strategy that I like to teach for utilizing Facebook groups. If you want to use a Facebook group to market your business, and this is an organic, non-paid strategy, so you're doing the work to build the engagement, you need to ask on-topic questions. And what these on-topic questions will do will pull people who are interested in what you do out of the greater audience of that Facebook group. So the on-topic question, meaning it's on topic to your business, it relates to what you do or sell, or if you want to be more strategic about how you're thinking about this, the questions you ask should have people who are potential prospects for your offer self-identify, basically raise their hand. So you want to know who your audience is, come up with questions that would find them inside of the community. If you have any more questions for me about how to make the most of your opportunity to advertise in a Facebook group like this, come, drop them in the group because I'll do more videos like this, demystifying how you go from engagement to conversion, no matter what type of business you have. I have many years of marketing experience, and my claim to fame is that I have been successfully self employed selling my creative and technical talents online, primarily using Facebook since 2012. So I know a few things, and I'd love to help you out. So if you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments on this video or go and post them in the Enlightened Entrepreneurs group. Now, I have a full-length training on this that is about 40 minutes long that anyone can watch. It's absolutely free, where I talk about the process of asking questions to find your audience inside of a large Facebook group audience and then sort that audience so that you can nurture them. So basically, you fish in a big pool, you want to find the right people, and then you want to have people self-qualify by taking another action. This is where we come back to Heather's question. I think Heather may be looking for a bit more guidance on how she should be responding to these questions. Because if she's following this process, she should be able to turn the people who are engaging with her questions into people who are now in a sub audience that she is speaking directly to. Now, I happen to know for a fact that Heather has her own small Facebook group where she teaches the unique work that she does to help people enter their energetic body and do the necessary repair to help them break these cycles and patterns of attracting partners and relationships that they don't want and open themselves up to attract someone who actually is their energetic counterpart. That's the work that Heather does, and it may seem very specific and very niche. What Heather needs to do is she first needs to find the broad audience, people who are dissatisfied with their relationship patterns and cycles. They're either attracting the wrong partner and repeating the same situations over and over because of things they haven't healed within themselves and they're frustrated by that, or they're currently in a relationship where they feel mismatched with their partner due to things that they haven't healed within themselves. Single people looking for love, but who want to do things differently the next time around so that it sticks, or people who are currently in a relationship and they'd like to amend that relationship and want to do the inside out work to do so. So here's what Heather needs to do. She needs to ask an engaging question that is going to pull that audience out of the larger community. So, a question Heather might ask is, who here is single and also working on their passion business? Now, it's a very simple question, but it's appropriate for this Facebook group because it is a group of self-indicating entrepreneurs. That's the broader audience of this community. Understanding the larger audience that you're speaking to, if you're going to a large Facebook group, is really important because you want to be able to think about all of these subtopics that would relate to people who would join a community like that. So, obviously, there's going to be people who are currently both single, looking for love, but also working on their businesses in a group like this. So she's going to ask that question, and over time, people are going to engage in the comments and indicate if that is them, if they are single. Now, that's really all Heather needs to know if they might possibly be interested in the work that she does, but she can't just go and start spamming the comments with links and self promoting. Instead, she wants to look at it as a conversation. Wait until there is about 5 or 6 comments there, and then go in and ask a follow up question. And because the question she initially asked was who is single and working on their passion business, she might ask a question like, do you feel that your focus being on your business gets in the way of attracting a partner? Or how has your experience been dating as an entrepreneur? And get the real answers from people. Asking follow up questions is also a way to build relationships and establish context. People will respond as honestly as they feel comfortable being, but that should be a good indication then if the next thing that you may bring up might be offering them the opportunity to join your private Facebook group. And like I said, in Heather's case, she has a Facebook group where she talks about kind of that inside out work that people, anyone who believes at least in the energy that we put off and emit into this world actually affecting outcomes, and that we're able to work on our inner selves in order to attract the right people into our lives. So as long as somebody is like down with that concept, then they're probably going to be fairly open to joining Heather's group. And so she can move these single people from the entrepreneur group into her own more intimate community. And that's where she teaches her philosophies and unique modality and the special type of work that she does. So she's segmenting from the larger group into a more intimate community where it's very specific and on topic to Heather's work. As people become familiar with Heather and her philosophies and how she impacts people's lives and her testimonials and client success stories, if she just uses that segmented space, her own community, to build that story and share her business in real time, then people will catch on. This is Heather, and this is what Heather does, and these are her offers. The larger group exists to help her find people who might be interested in what she does and who also align with her values, and they have some interaction happening in that large community, but it's the intimate community where the nurturing happens. If Heather didn't have a Facebook group, she may also have something called a lead magnet. Now, a Facebook group is an excellent lead magnet, so it can be both, but you don't have to have your own community or group. You can create instead what is just your lead list. Now, a lead list is built using an opt in, so something you are offering to people that they give their information, so their name, their email, sometimes their phone number. They opt in to access some promised piece of content. And the recommended piece of content that I suggest, in Heather's case, she would create, and in your case, this is what you should create, is the prerequisite information that allows people to better understand exactly what it is that you do. So, if you're doing the work to find engagement inside of a community like the Enlightened Entrepreneurs group or any other large group on Facebook, you're going to offer your lead magnet as the solution to a problem that somebody is identifying that they have. So, going back to this post where you've asked who here is single and is also growing their business, she may have a lead magnet that's specific for helping entrepreneurs find love connections. So, dating as an entrepreneur or dating as an enlightened entrepreneur, dating as a self aware individual, dating after a spiritual awakening, finding your soulmate after a spiritual awakening, something along those lines, something that is specific to this audience that provides an intriguing bit of information, expert resource, no gatekeeping, nothing held back, but is actually serving as the prerequisite, the information that in Heather's case, she wishes people knew before they worked with her. So, exactly what it is that she does should be explained in this content and what the promised outcome or result might look like. And it's taught in either like an explainer video, or it can also be like some form of mini course, a quiz, a challenge. Some people just do a simple PDF presentation. It doesn't have to be complex, although more and more I'm recommending that people make it feel as close to the experience of working with you as possible because it really is kind of like your Costco free sample, the try before you buy. If you want to move people from just simply engaging with you in a large Facebook group to being an actual excited buyer, then you want to have a really excellent lead magnet that doesn't just share the unique work that you do, but also shares you and your personality and what you bring to the table so that they can actually begin to think about themselves working with you. So, whatever it is that you are providing, make sure that it includes your personality, that it doesn't just feel like something somebody could have pulled up on ChatGPT, but there's actually some personal touches and a experience that feels similar to what they could expect if they were to become your client. That's what I recommend, that you do go above and beyond creating your lead magnet, understanding that it really is that great first impression that is doing the pre-work to prepare somebody to buy from you. It is a way to build your email list, but that list is also your qualified lead list, and that is the list that you're going to then start to nurture with additional resources as well as regular email marketing. Now, there's also so many things you can do once you have somebody captured as a lead, such as direct them to something like a YouTube channel or your TikTok profile. You may invite them to have a discovery conversation with you, which is going to get you face to face, and that's typically your sales call. So it's really a basic marketing funnel, moving people from curiosity and interaction in the comments to taking an action, and that action itself indicates that they're interested, and then doing the follow up steps to nurture the leads. Facebook groups are great for meeting new people, but actually creating substantial relationships and connections that convert requires this secondary validating step. It requires you to take just the engagement that you're getting and move people along into the next step in the process. So, first, you want to have them indicate that yes, they are self verifying that they are the target audience for your offer. And, I do not love being like, my ideal client, my soulmate client, my ideal target audience. I don't like saying these things in public because people don't want to be viewed that way. They really want to feel like they're part of a organic process, not that they're being forced through these mechanical systems. So the vocabulary I'm using is really specifically marketing vocabulary. Nobody's going to feel good if they are being identified as a lead for your business before you are treating them like a person. But because we are having a conversation that is about marketing strategy, we need that vocabulary because we need to be able to say things like, here is a person who is a potential prospect that you are now interacting with. And to make the most of that interaction, you want to make sure that you're giving them the opportunity to self opt in to the next step where you're segmenting them into a space where you are going to continue to build that relationship with them. Now, the path of least resistance is always going to be a face to face conversation, and offering consults, discovery calls, free get to know yas, whatever you want to call them, as a fast track to finding out if your work is a good fit for them is a great idea. But at the same time, we should also always be building our audience list, our lead list. And we want to be intentional about nurturing that list and understanding that the people on that list, at the very minimum, at least have indicated that they have at least a few of the qualifying qualities that would make them a potential prospect for your business. So, what I'm talking about here is having a strategy and knowing what you're doing in the grand scheme of things, your reason for even being in that larger Facebook group to begin with. And relationship building and networking is how people get to know, like, and trust us, which we all know is a vital piece of the big picture. We buy from the people we know, like, and trust who provide the things that we are looking to buy. Your job is to go out and find people who identify with what you're putting out there, who are qualified, meaning that they have the qualifications required to be a successful customer for you. And people decide who they are going to trust based on that person's consistency, what they see that person consistently do, and what that person is putting out there. If it resonates or relates to them, that they feel that they would want to pay in order to access that. So that is how people are making buying decisions. And then you can either accelerate the speed at which people draw that conclusion by very quickly getting yourself in a one-to-one conversation with them, or letting things kind of evolve over time by continuously communicating with that person. That is what social selling really is. It's being consistent and then allowing people to get to know you so they can decide if they trust you and they like what you put out there, and also if you actually have the solution that they are looking for. Sometimes this happens faster for other businesses because they have a simpler product to say yes to. By that, what I mean is, say I want to sell you this backlight. Okay, I've got my backlight here. You can see it. I've got some for sale. Who would like a backlight? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You see the backlight, you like the way the backlight looks. I have them. You'll buy them from me. As long as I can mail that out to you and the price is decent, like, that's a pretty quick yes. But that is very different than having somebody agree to welcome you to work with them and do that type of deep energy work. And so the timeline for somebody to make that buying decision in that case is likely going to take a lot longer than simply buying something like a backlight from somebody, because the consequence of choosing the wrong person is so much greater. That is a big piece of understanding marketing as a whole. Some decisions are really ultimately non-consequential. It's either inexpensive, so if it doesn't work out, there's not a great loss, and it's not super intimate, so if the person you're buying from is not somebody who really resonates with you, it's not a big deal as long as you get the thing that they promise to give you in the end. But when we have somebody who's selling something that is very intimate for the customer, then the expectation should be that it is going to take longer to build that trust because the stakes are much higher. And when the stakes are high, then it should be a high touch nurture approach. It should feel like they are kind of getting a sense of what it would be like to work with you. And in fact, a lot of the times that's really what it is like, if they see what you're doing publicly and what you're putting out there in public on your socials, then they're going to be super intrigued to see what is actually behind the paywall. If that's what you're doing in the front for free for them to kind of nurture them, then what are you going to do when you actually start working together one to one or inside of one of your group containers? So for those who sell something that is very intimate, at the end of the day, that is the key, is you just really have to be able to help people understand what it is that you do, but being in a state of full embodiment of that work. And so once it goes past the surface level conversations and they have self identified that they're interested in understanding your deeper philosophies and the unique modalities that you are using, then that is permission to kind of show off. Because when they feel like they know you and that they like you and that they trust you, that is when it starts to have this natural flow of people reaching out and asking if they can work with you. So that's what I wanted to share with Heather and anybody else who is curious about how this is actually supposed to go. I don't want anybody to waste their time just doing random stuff in Facebook groups and asking off topic questions just to nurture and build engagement that isn't going anywhere. It might be fun, but it's not a good use of your time, and it's really not a good use of mine either. The Facebook group is very good for visibility. It's very good for traffic. It's really good for finding brand new people that you wouldn't have met otherwise. But it is not where the conversions happen in most cases. A lot of the times, conversions happen after there's been some form of meaningful interaction and engagement, and when people actually wrap their heads around the unique thing that you do. Unless what you do is very obvious and you can just kind of show and tell about it and it's a yes or no answer, you are going to have to put yourself out there and create those environments where that know, like, and trust is being built. If you liked this video and you have not done so already, please come say hi in my Enlightened Entrepreneurs community. We are fun, we're real, we're engaging, and there's tons of opportunities to make real connections for referrals, collaborations, as well as customers and clients. So please do come on in, see what it's like to be part of a community on Facebook where people are actually talking with each other, not at each other, and say hi to me. Thanks again. Take care.